Poland Daily Business Edition, and we will talk tonight about European Union, how it works on the economical plane and on the political plane. We had very good insight in recent days when this momentous 3-day-long summit of European Union concluded, electing Ursula von der Leyen to the post of the President of European Commission. Professor Zbigniew Krysiak of Warsaw School of Economics is following the European Union for a long time, and you can tell something. What has been unveiled during these days?
Yeah, basically we noticed that there is a big discrepancy. There is a lack of unification, that's basically the losers are the East European countries. So the Freezes countries and the basically newcomers, since we are all together, Slovakia, Czech, Hungary, as newcomers to European Union. And nobody from our area is in this very important bodies, and I think that is a wrong direction, which is basically controlled by this France, Germany, and to some certain extent as well, Spain. Which they basically agreed on the beginning. It seems to be that the initial proposals came not to the final solution, but basically the more power Germany got, as well as France. I mean, the Central European Bank, got by the France is important. I mean, a power tool, and as well. A German, Ursula von der Leyen, former Minister of Military, in Bundeswehr in Germany. And this is, a very early warning signals, because these old guys, socialists and neoliberalists, basically are heading in the direction of a federal Europe. It means they would like, to create a super state. And the idea of Robert Schuman was against that. So the Community of European Nations, it was basically a goal which gave all parties, the same equal position.
You mentioned this proposition that 4 countries, Germany, France, Spain and Holland, came up during the meeting in Osaka, and this was proposed as the final solution to the remaining 24 countries. And I couldn't remember, maybe it was said when Poland entered the European Union, that it is the France, Germany, Spain and Holland that will decide on everything. They didn't put it that way back then in 2003.
Yeah, that's right, Alexander. It's basically the idea, or also in the different, treaties, is just indicating that there should be a certain equal, a share of, a managerial and leaders rule. As well, Scandinavian look. The Scandinavian, nobody is from these countries there. On the beginning, before Osaka as well, there were some voices, saying that, in this time, there should be some representative from the Scandinavia, from the East European countries, treaties, for instance, as well, France, Germany. So we have almost quite most important, 6, 7 positions, probably even 8, including the vice first commissioner. And I think this kind of a solution would be very satisfying. Now, even if the Timmermans, who is basically a kind of enemy against, all Eastern European countries, even if the Timmermans didn't get the first commissioner position, he's going to play the role as a vice commissioner. And as well, he's going, to be very, tough, very, destructive. And I think, that, of course, in that situation, which was the negotiations period, I think our Prime Minister played a very, good, role, and he was, quite successful, trying to obtain most reasonable solution. And again, I would say that this is a not good sign for certain basically concentration on the superstate approach. And I would say, even if there is a kind of a climate which declined the pressure, declined the basically the climate which was around these negotiations, I would anticipate that the time which are going to be more tougher, more problems creating with that group of leaders which we are getting now. The very promising, I think is that the chairman of the European Parliament, who was a former, a Christian Democrat, the Italian, when he has an initial speech, he announced, he mentioned about the Robert Schuman and the fathers. So I hope this was his real, thinking, a real approach. But let we see if this is a direction he's going to bring, to lead the European Parliament. It can be some certain one of the 6 positions promising for different, decisions which are facing in the future.
But we also can expect this trend for breaching the treaties by the European institutions. The one example is Tribunal of Justice that is producing the verdicts that had no base in the European law, and like the verdict that has been announced only a month ago regarding the law that is not actually existing in Poland, and we'll have more of this, right?
Yeah, I would assume that we are going to have more and more problems like this, and I would suggest, for all parties from the East European countries, so the V4 freezes area countries showed, the very common approach, but there's still not much integration in that. So I would say, again, we need to create a new fraction in the European Parliament, what I am calling it should be a Schuman fraction, where the Peace and Justice, from Poland, Orban Party, Salvini and the others should, join to that one, because otherwise we are not going to outweigh that, superstate direction, and as well the tools and instruments like a Court of the Justice in Europe, which is a kind of a tool to control that process heading us to the superstate.
Sir, thank you very much. Professor Zbigniew Krysiak of Warsaw School of Economics was our guest tonight, and that was it for Poland Daily Business.